Lounge as the official podcast partner of the 19th annual Oscar qualifying HollyShorts Film Festival. I'm joined here by doubling as two people, Indeana Underhill. First of all, she is my co-host, co-founder of Cinematography for Actors, and also the director of photography on the film that we are about to speak to you about. I'm also joined by John Michael Riva Jr., the writer and director of the film that I'm about to speak to you about. This film is called Pterry, with a P, like a pterodactyl. Hi, you guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
That was impressive.
Thank you.
I'm trying to switch my hat off and be like, thanks for having me.
Thanks for
but
having
I've been
me.
here all week.
You're no longer the host.
Yeah, exactly.
You're really sandwiched in behind that mic. Are you uncomfortable? you look like you are pinned to the wall right now.
You are just...
You want to ankle that
Yeah,
out
there
a
you
little
go.
bit?
It's cozy.
We do want the audio to sound good, but you looked a little uncomfortable.
There you go.
Thank you for knowing and
Yeah.
understanding and seeing my my discomfort.
You're welcome. You actually have a little bit of a story of being pinned to a wall. Someone else being pinned to a wall. You want to start with that?
What are we referencing?
Some danger on set that you had to deal with
The flying?
when Sam got pinned to a wall.
Oh,
Do we want to not talk about that?
we can talk about it.
Yeah,
I mean,
we-
first, why don't we talk
Let's
about
talk about safety, but we're going to loop back to
Yeah.
it. First, we're going to talk about the movie.
Yeah, Pterry.
Very violent segue.
Yeah, I know. Pterry, what's Pterry about?
Terry, okay.
Yeah.
So,
For those who haven't
interesting
seen
way to get to this question.
it. Yeah.
Love it.
We're
Terry,
artists.
Terry is about, so like coming of age story, and it's about, it represents like my understanding of like figuring out who I was as a kid, or still am, because I am a child forever. Going through school without a parent, losing a parent, going through school with pretty gnarly learning disabilities like dyslexia. So the character Terry has like 10-foot arms, and that's a like physical representation of like kind of standing out and feeling like you don't fit in physically and emotionally. So that is what Terry is to me. But in terms of, what am I supposed to tie this with safety now?
No, you don't.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll just get back there.
Great.
Don't worry.
Now, I'm going to kind of take over as host sometimes, even though I was the DP on the project, just because I think there's some things we can point out about Terry. Now, Terry was your second short film that you've directed.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is true.
And it's great because it was the first film you ever decided to direct that you also wrote. You decided to shoot on film.
The first one.
Yeah.
Yes, but like I hesitate by saying that is my first one because I never released it.
Okay.
I like...
It still counts.
It does count, you're right. I basically didn't do like a festival run with it because I used it as like part of my application to get into AFI
Which is where we met.
as a screenwriter.
Yeah.
That's where we met. So AFI, if anyone knows, AFI consumes your life for like 2 years plus. And so like I didn't have time to do a festival run or like really polish it, and it just kind of sat, which turned out to be kind of interesting, cool thing because I got a chance to just like really take time with other stuff and then come back to it. So Terry is like my first like thing that's in the world, which is terrifying.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The reason I bring it up is because not only do I think it's a great risk that you took by shooting on film for your first thing to direct, but
Right.
That you worked with your grandmother on it, and for
I
this
did.
you worked with family as well.
I did.
And I want to talk about the your comfortability of working with family as characters in your films.
Okay. Yeah. I think at first it's just like they're accessible. It's like, I worked with my little brother on Terry, Adam Riva, and very much could be like, okay, little shithead, come here, like we're gonna do this, and he's like, yep, okay, cool. So like I think it was just first accessibility, and for like my first short film, it was about like an old woman with dementia. My grandma who played the old woman with dementia does not have dementia, but she comes from an acting background and hadn't been in anything for a long time, and just wanted to take that opportunity to like have a connection with her where I like worked with her, And I think that's when like magic kind of happens organically, when you have like a crew and team that's like in it for like the best reasons. Yeah, I guess that's how you say that.
Yeah. One of the things that I wanted to talk about before I let Haley take over as host again is the decision on doing the arms practically.
Sure.
Because we had a lot of conversations around with our production designer Kato on how big that wingspan was going to be.
Yes, and they are not. I once said they were 10 feet. They are not 10 feet. They're 16 feet.
Right.
Shout out to Kato, who's our production designer, who helped make that. Don't want to take away footage from her.
Yeah.
Literally. But practical is the way to go for me, honestly. I grew up watching movies that had the coolest, most fun practical stuff. And nowadays, like, it's a decision.
Mm-hmm.
You know, back in the day, it wasn't. Just like how to shoot on film. Like, I wish I could shoot on film for everything. Doesn't always work out that way, but practicality in terms of your props or stuff is like just it's a lifestyle, I would say. It's not like, you know, I got so much love for VFX, it's insane. And our film is in the VFX slot.
It is, yeah.
So a lot of love to VFX world. My brother Daniel works in VFX, so I got a lot of love for them. But practical stuff for me is just like
living in it.
Yeah, it's more fun, I think, and it's easier for the actor. Might be a hot take, but it's easier for me as well.
Yeah.
So, with that decision to have the arms be a practical effect that Adam strapped on and used and had to learn how to work with, how did that affect the spaces in which you could actually shoot with that?
Yeah, good question.
And the different kinds of arms we had.
We had two setups.
Oh, okay.
So like
Two different arms.
there's one where he's like in slings, so he looks like he's like a T-Rex, and also like a pterodactyl when they walk, which is like their elbows nearly touch the ground. And that was kind of easy because you can kind of maneuver, but like when they're stretched out, they're just like pool noodles with PVC pipe in the middle, I think. And yeah, he just was like hitting everything. The costumes were like the most important part because like, you know, we had to custom make shirts and stuff. I feel like that was more of something to be aware of than moving around. Just getting him in and out of stuff just sucked because we were like on a short time frame.
Slowed stuff down.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was heavy. Yeah. We made it work.
That was heavy.
We made it work somehow.
And we shot the arm stuff in Wildwood, which was a school he actually went to. And so we were lucky enough to shoot in, I mean, this is a personal story for Mikey, and so it was cool to be able to shoot in the locations for the crew that didn't grow up with Mikey, in the locations that a lot of that happened, that the dyslexia and the trauma around everything,
right,
stuff like that.
It was definitely home field advantage for me, which probably made me sweat more, you know, like I was in my childhood home and in my 5th grade class where I like felt like an idiot reading in front of the class, you know. So that on top of trying to make your day, I was just like using a lot of deodorant for sure.
Yeah.
Just like really hot and sweaty, just like, oh my God, inner child trauma stuff going on, and we're trying to make our 12 setup day all in once, and
35 setups.
So I want to talk to you too about, now you clearly have a common language and a shorthand, but at the time you were pretty new associates when you decided to work together.
Yeah, it was our first time
you
working
knew each
together.
other from school, but you hadn't actually done a project. So what sort of discussions did you have to make sure that you were on the same page creatively, technically, practically?
I think first was just like me explaining what the hell this was.
Yeah.
And then through more specific meetings, like coffee meetings, going over shot lists, it was like communicating the logistics of what looks and just narrowing it down from broad strokes to very pinpoint notes of like, I don't want this, I want this. And like mood boards.
Mikey has a lot of references, which is great.
Visuals,
Yeah.
man. I like need visuals to like breathe. And you kind of understood that wavelength really early on.
Yeah.
It just became kind of easy.
Yeah, I would say like the way that I like to work as a DP and a really great way of getting on the same page with your directors is I like to have a dogmatic approach. So like creating rules for the story. And so figuring out what those rules are early on and having a printed script where we're meeting in a coffee shop and able to go through with a pen together on one script, like, okay, we know the rules of these characters. We want to make vulnerability 32 mil lens. We want to make an eye light key for this character so we can connect. We want to only shoot OTS dirties so we can connect, or we disconnect by only having cleans. Like it's creating those and knowing when to break them so that when you get down to a script, you're not changing your mind a million times. You're allowed to, but you're able to get through it in a consistent way where you can take the creative and then make it technical and practical almost immediately to relay to the other departments.
Right, very efficient, effective.
I like efficiency.
Yes, I know you do.
Yeah.
We have to wrap this up, speaking of efficiency, but Indy, I do want to give you a chance to discuss
The safety on set?
Yes, and also a conversation I know you had with the ghost of Brianna Wing here when she was, trapped in between
his childhood bedroom.
things in his bedroom, and had to make some, technical decisions, and what sort of things you spoke to her
First thing I'll say very quickly about the safety on set about being pinned to a wall. I was not the one pinned to a wall, but we had an incredible, Mikey had the incredible idea of showing the bully being picked up and thrust into a wall, and we did that by having the actor rigged off of a dolly that we then pushed into a wall. And although we tried multiple times with our key grip and our operator to safety it down with sandbags and things like that, it's great that Sam didn't get hurt because we stationed him pretty far from the wall on the offset so that you have about 2 feet where the dolly can hit the wall. So safety on set is just like prepare all the time for anything that can go wrong, especially because we had articulating 16-foot arms that were made out of metal.
Like a flying sequence.
Correct.
Suspended by wires.
Exactly, with 6 scripts like articulating them. From Brianna Wing, who you are all familiar with, who is a long friend of Mikey's.
Long family friend
Of Mikey's, and an incredible actor. She and Adam Riva, Mikey's brother, were in his childhood home, and they were tucked into this tiny room, and it was decorated. Production design was incredible, but our setups, we had so many setups in this room, and so it was really important for Mikey to have time with the actors. And so we used light bridge reflectors, where I taught Bree and Adam that if they were able to see the light in the reflection of the reflector, that they would have eye light, and so that we were accomplishing our goal. So they knew that if they had to make any technical adjustments or moves, they would let me know if that reflection wasn't there anymore, and I would adjust it so that it wasn't me constantly like in the room fiddling, even though I probably was, but Mikey had more time with them on set, which was really important.
So they could just be like, I didn't feel that, and they can just be like, Indy, it's moved.
Yeah.
But you also came to me like, yo, can I talk to them before? And I was like, yeah, why are you asking?
Yeah.
And so like I was just kind of, that was a realization for me to be like, oh yeah, that's an etiquette thing.
Yeah.
But my initial answer was like, yeah,
Yeah.
because it's gonna make it look great.
Yeah, Mikey is very good at communicating on set, understanding to let go to different departments, like knowing the notes he has to give and creating like the performance and the creative and like knowing exactly what it is he wants, but allowing his HODs to communicate what they need in order to have the most efficient workflow on set so that we could get 35 setups and shoot in 3 days and have a flying sequence and all of that stuff.
True.
Which is a really important thing. But yeah, it is for DPs out there. It's always really important to ask your director, if it's the first time you're working with that director, on kind of the language they want to have with your cast, and if you're allowed to actually have those conversations. So, some directors get worried about it.
Communication always, communication in the right order, making sure that things are above board, and that's what people want.
And
we really got to wrap this up.
Yeah.
I could just sit here and talk to you all day.
Love ya.
Which is fun that it's our job. Pterry has screened, but you can catch it on bitpixtv.com. So make sure you do. It's really exciting, and now you know all of the secrets of the inside.
The inner workings.
The inner workings
Yes.
of Mikey's brain.
That's right.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
Thanks for having
both of
me.
you,
Yeah.
and telling me all of this exciting stuff.
Of course.
Cool.
Thanks, everyone.
See you later. Bye.
Thank you.
Oh.
This has been another episode of the Cinematography for Actors podcast. Follow us on wherever you listen to your podcast to keep up to date on new episode releases. We will be live through August 20th here at HollyShorts Film Fest. If you're here, drop in and say a little hello at the VIP lounge. We also want to thank our sponsors, Apogee, Film Tools, Roscoe, Lightstone Rentals, Canon, and First Mile Tech. As a special gift to you listeners, we've partnered with We Make Movies to get you a discount on comprehensive production insurance packages. Use code CFA23 on your intake form for 10% off your quote by visiting wemakemovies.org/insurance.
If you missed any of our live streams, you can watch all of our interviews on our YouTube channel, Cinematography for Actors. And make sure you follow us on Instagram at Cinematography for Actors. You can also catch us in a more formal setting on Monday, August 14th at Japan House for a panel discussion on the importance of bridging the gap between talent and crew. You can get 20% off of your ticket purchase by using the code HSFF2023CFA at checkout.
Thanks!